Hello, it's Sydney Rose and I'm back in my craft room / storage room. Today, I'm going to be customizing my Coca-Cola Labubu. Well, Lafufu, I never put in the eye after I popped it out for the last video, so there we go. I'm customizing this little guy to kind of be the opposite of my other Labubu. I'll put all of the pictures right here because she's on my bag right now, but I'm gonna customize this one for my school book bag that I carry for teaching. And this way, since this Labubu is already white, I don't have to dye it, and I don't know if dyeing this one would do well because of how bad the head flops. But I don't know, I think I'm gonna do some customizations to the eyes, obviously, and the face. So let's see if we can go ahead and pop out the second one on camera. Okay, so now I have two Labubu eyes and an eyeless Labubu, so let's get to it. So I couldn't find a white sweater with the Labubu since I was trying to make it more like a white goth. So I think since it was originally a Coca-Cola one and it comes with the Coke like string that holds it to the little bag clip, I'm gonna get a red one, and I think it's the same, but this time it comes with a bag, pants, and shoes, but I just want the sweater and the hat. So I'll see what to do with the rest of it. I might give it to somebody else that has a Labubu or any like little dolls that they would use, but it's like I gave the bag away the last time to a friend who has a bag clip. It's not a Labubu, but it's like a doll type of something along these lines. But I'm gonna do the same thing where I paint the buttons maybe black, and then the bunny and the logo on the hat to add the skull, so it'll be more like a black, white, and red themed Labubu for my school book bag. But I'm excited, and it'll be here tomorrow. Since I couldn't find a similar white sweater, I decided I would make this a complimentary Lafufu to my other custom Labubu. And if you watched my other video, this is a Lafufu, not a Labubu, but I'll still probably put Labubu in the thumbnail and the title because, you know, clickbait and all of that. But here's my arts teacher side of this video. Complementary colors are colors that are opposite sides of the color wheel from each other. I've done many pieces with complementary colors because they look so good next to each other, but if you mix them, they will make a grayish brown color or desaturate the more dominant color. Since my first custom Labubu was black and green, I decided I would make this Labubu white and red, which are the complementary colors to black and green. Out of all of my artwork I showed, I do tend to use blue and orange complementary colors and then red and green the most, so I'm excited to see how this turns out with two separate Labubus. For my research, aka watching TikToks where people customize Labubus, I decided I would remove the Coke bottle and the Santa hat completely, as these creators have. I will have these creators linked below, so please check out their content. Specifically, Danny Squish is a creator that I learned many of my tips and tricks from the first time, so if you're interested in customizing your own Labubu or Lafufu, I highly recommend watching her videos after you finish this video. Starting off, because this is a Lafufu and not a Labubu, I ran into some issues. The Coke bottle was actually glued onto the fur and not sewed, so I thought I could just cut it off and there might be like a bald patch on his fur, but I was wrong. The glue was embedded into the fluff of the Labubu, so I ended up having to cut a hole in his belly. Thankfully, the hat was just sewed on loosely, so I didn't have the same issue. If you watched my first custom Lafufu video, you know that there was already a hole in the side of this specific Labubu as well that I knew I was going to have to sew, so I figured having to sew the stomach was fine. I will also say I have little to no sewing skills, but I will put a video here where I did manage to hand sew a pair of patchwork overalls, but they took me way too much time, and I wasn't going off a pattern. I genuinely just measured myself and sewed patches together and hoped for the best while holding the fabric pieces next to my body. I just did it the way you would sew a quilt, so a lot different than a plushie. Okay, and moving on to the eyes, they were just a white sticker with a screen printed pupil on the plastic piece. So I took acetone to it to help get everything nice and clean to repaint. These eyes were a lot more stubborn and harder to clean than my other Labubu's eyes. I'm not sure if this is due to the eyes being black and a darker color than the orange like the other ones, but I did finally manage to clean off the rest by scraping out the color with my nails and saturating the eyes in acetone. I decided first that I wanted to make both eyes red and sparkly to complement the green eyes of my other Labubu. I started by drawing the red outline for the iris and then painting the highlights, because this is similar to glass painting where you have to paint backwards, so your highlights and smaller details first, followed by your medium details and then your background. With my other Labubu video, I feel like it went a lot more in order with the steps, but this time I was kind of all over the place, which does make writing this script I'm currently reading off of a bit harder than normal, but we live for the chaos on this channel and I'm glad you're here with me. After painting the outline and the highlights of the eyes, I painted on Elmer's glue and sprinkled red glitter on top, so the Labubu's eyes would sparkle like my other Labubu, but also like the Into Big Energy Labubu since their eyes have glitter in them. And I may be an alt girly and love all things spooky scary skeletons, but everything can always have a pop of sparkle in my opinion. While letting the glitter layer of the eyes dry, I attempted to use watercolor like I did on the first Labubu to make his blush a little bit more red. There's nothing wrong with the orange, but I wanted it to be a bit more red to match the vibe I was going for, but it didn't really work, so I gave up on that for the moment and went back to working on the eyes. Since I wasn't dyeing this Labubu, the eyes were my biggest step, and I'm not gonna lie, I was getting pretty frustrated with the glitter. The red glitter seemed to stick to anything and everything compared to the green glitter of my other Labubu's eyes, so I had a lot of cleanup to do, more with acetone and a brush, so there wouldn't be any stray glitter flakes in the whites of the Labubu's eyes. So this time lapse is a lot of me just going layer after layer on the eyes, and I really don't know what to say here as I'm reading the fact that I wrote I really don't know what to say here in this script. I am reading for this voiceover weeks over before this video even comes out because I'm trying to be prepared for the busy school year and still keep a consistent upload schedule for all 500 of you guys, and who knows, by the time this video comes out maybe I'll hit 600 subscribers, but only time will tell. Either way, I'm thankful for all of you for supporting me on my YouTube journey. With this Labubu, and honestly the majority of my art, I rarely start it with much of a plan, and I know if any of my art professors from college see this, they're gonna roll their eyes because one of the main things they always taught us was to sketch out your plans and do color studies first, etc., but I live for the chaos. So I decided here that I was going to go for a Harlequin look, putting black on one side of the inside of the Labubu's ear and red on the other. This then sparked the idea to give the Labubu heterochromia and have the eyes switch colors from the ears diagonally and then later match painted toenails to this pattern. So I gave up on one of my drying eyes and started to make a black glitter eye instead. Black glitter eye was much more convenient because I have black glitter paint, and this is super helpful because there's no mess. In between letting the layers of my new eye dry, I filled up the hole in the foot where there was a mini clear Labubu, but I lost it somewhere when I was unboxing the Labubu and never found it, with clear gel nail polish. And I cured it off camera because the space I'm working on doesn't have an outlet close enough for the short table on my UV lamp, so just trust my word here. I did about 3 layers of this until the foot was full, and I didn't have to do this step, but I figured why not while the eyes were drying, just have that extra little bit. Also used red and black gel polish and used the same off-camera UV light to cure the polish for the toenails, the black line of the smile, the pupil in the black glitter eye, and the nose of this Labubu. After these steps, I went back to doing more layers on my eyes, and when they were drying again, I moved on to the Labubu's smile. I don't have white gel nail polish, so I just used acrylic paint and then covered that with regular white nail polish and let it dry. I also painted one tooth with red gel polish to be the complementary to my other Labubu's black glitter tooth. With acrylic paint, I started working on the blush for this Labubu. The acrylic paint worked much better here, and I believe this is due to still working on a vinyl face rather than my other Labubu's painted face. So if you didn't watch my last Labubu video, and again, as I probably already said in this video, you should watch that one after this one. But I stained the vinyl face on that Labubu by accident, and I had to paint the face. Since I wasn't dyeing this Labubu, thankfully I didn't have that issue here. Okay, for an update, the sweater and all of his accessories came in, but when I opened it, I noticed there was a lot of extra thread under here, and I was just messing with it and the button fell off. So I'm gonna have to sew the button back on, but again, I'm gonna paint it, paint the bunny, paint the hat. I'm not gonna use this stuff. I might see if somebody else can use it. But the hat, I will say the red one is significantly lower quality than the black one I have for the first Labubu. It's just a lot thinner. They did come from 2 different brands, even though it's like the same sweater from Amazon. But I don't know. I'll link both of them down below if you're interested, but just know that this one, like I said, the button came off and I'm gonna have to sew that back on with my very limited sewing skills. So, alright, let's keep customizing this little guy. I decided that before I sew the sweater, I would go ahead and pierce the ears of my Labubu because I was going to have to get the sewing kit out anyway. I am also by no means a qualified piercer. I just took an extra large sewing needle and poked holes through the ear and tried my best to make the earring go through. This took a few tries with this Labubu's ears, and because they were much thicker than the first one, so I had a lot more trouble with it, but I did eventually get it. I chose to do 2 ear piercings in the left ear and 1 on the right, just as I did on the first, to mimic my own ear piercings, even though I have a lot more than just 2, but the idea is that I have more piercings in my left than my right ear at the moment, but I hope to get more in the future, so I may have to update my Labubus eventually. But with that, it was on to sewing the button back onto the sweater. This is the first time I've ever sewed a button onto something, but it was kind of self-explanatory. But if I did it wrong, don't call me out because it worked, so I'm not mad at it. Also, I reinforced the other 2 buttons because they felt weak and I didn't want to end up losing a button while the Labubu was swinging around on my book bag. After sewing the buttons back on, I started on the logo of the sweater. I wanted the bunny and the bear on the hat to be black with the same skull designs I put on my other sweater, so my Labubus would be complementary twins with their clothes as well as their details. I started by painting the brown with black acrylic paint and let it dry. In between, I did some more layers of gel polish on the nose and the eyeliner of my Labubu's face. And after the black was dry on the hat and the sweater, I used white acrylic paint to do my first layer of my skull designs. I also used brown acrylic paint to add some freckle details to my Labubu, since my first Labubu was my mini-me, and I added freckles to her face, so I had to do the same to her complementary twin brother. Finally, the black paint was dry on the sweater and the hat, so it was time to paint my skull designs. I like to do 2 layers of lighter colored paint so they're not so streaky, so I started my first layer of white and decided to let it dry. And in between, I touched up the designs on my first Labubu as well, from just the wear and tear of her being on my everyday bag. If you haven't watched my Built More video yet, you should, and you can see that she was tagging along for the adventure. Here's some voice filler before my next clip. I just added in the eyes by doing the hair dryer thing, and then all of the gel polish obviously had to be off camera because my outlet is way over there and my cord doesn't reach. But oh my gosh, I was kind of feeling hesitant about it, but the eyes just made it so much better. I love the difference between the 2 eyes. I still want to see if I can try to get the cheeks redder. His head's still so floppy. I don't know anything I can do about that, but waiting on the sweater to dry so I can do another layer of white and then add the rest of the skulls. And obviously I've been touching up this guy along the way, so, and I've had that in the video too, but I'm so excited about how this is turning out so far. But if anybody has any advice on how to make the head less floppy, please let me know, because I'm not a sewer. I'm not sure. By the time I took the last clip, my white paint was dry and it was time to add the second layer and then add the black details for the skulls, eyes, and noses. I normally only have to do 1 layer of black over the white because the black acrylic paint is very opaque. I almost want to try this with Vanta black paint, but you know, in the art world, that's hard to get a hold of. But after I was done with the sweater, I decided to touch up the ears and attempt to make the blush even more red on my Labubu with watered down acrylic paint. And I was lucky because it turned out really successful and I'm really proud of it. Right, now I'm done completely painting the face. I need to let this dry, but I'm going to protect it with some clear varnish. Once the cheeks are dry, I got them more red, and then I'll put them in his little outfit. I'll take my final videos and I'm done. I think. We're gonna say I'm done right now, whenever all of that's complete. So, yeah. And here he is. Oh, I'm so excited about how this turned out. I ordered a new book bag for school, and it should be here tomorrow, so I'm gonna put him on my school book bag for like just teaching, like where I put all my computer and stuff, because teachers carry book bags too. And then this one's gonna go back on my regular bag. I gotta put the bag clip through it, but back on my regular everyday bag. But I'm so excited. He's so precious. Just a little bit more twirls, and I'll get a better clip of him like actually on the book bag. Here they are together. I think it's like the perfect like matching but not matching, because like I've got the skulls on opposite sides, their stripes are on the opposite sides. Pretty much did complementary colors with the green eyes and the red, so green and red are complementary colors, and then white and black are complementary colors, so it's perfect. I love how they turned out so much. I can't stop gushing about these. Again, can't wait to keep this on my book bag until very well after the trend is over, because I don't care. I love them. I love them so much. And I wanted to film this little guy on my new book bag, so I got my backpack yesterday. Looks really good with my shark bag clip as well. So proud. But thank you guys again for watching the video, and I'll probably do a voiceover and end card, so we'll go to that. JK, one more clip. I just fixed it to where it won't be as floppy, and with that little hack that I saw on TikTok. So I also need names for this little guy, so just like last time, put name suggestions in the comments for me. And now I'm off script because it's the end card, which also means you made it to the end of this video. I'm super excited for how this Labubu turned out, and I'm excited to carry him on my book bag every day. And with that, do all of the things that all the YouTubers tell you to do, so like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you guys next Thursday. Bye!